Hi, I'm Morgan, and today I want to talk about why the executive order on passports is a big deal in a bad way. So, first of all, I am cisgender, but someone who is very, very dear to me for a long period of time. I'm no longer in contact with this person, but someone who is very dear to me is a transgender woman, and so I feel like I owe it to her to talk about this issue. So, Trump issued an executive order that basically says you can only have like male or female on your passport, and it has to be the one that you were like assigned at birth or born as. Um, and so I am concerned about this order for a few reasons. The first of which is it disproportionately impacts a minority. It feels like it is specifically targeted at trans people. And I think that's a big deal because I just don't like the way that trans people are kind of being treated in the political discourse. It makes me feel uncomfortable, is what I'm trying to say. It feels like hostilities and tensions are growing around like trans people in the United States, and I don't like it. It makes me feel worried for the future. Like I really don't want things to get worse, and so I don't like to see this level of targeting from a government policy. The second issue is passports are what people need to leave the country. And so if the political situation in the United States like takes a sudden drastic turn for the worse or something, like I would hope that trans people would be able to leave if things got worse. And so I don't like a restriction on passports that basically just makes it harder for trans people to get passports. And the third reason that I think this is a big deal is that passports are sometimes used as just like a general form of identification. And if someone has transitioned to the point where they're just like very much so pass, and like say someone's like a trans man and just looks completely like a man, but has like female on their passport, that could potentially cause issues. Like, how do I put this? Like, if they're just trying to get into like the US from being overseas and they're trying to show like customs their passport, or maybe they're using the passport as their identification to get through TSA, and the TSA agent is like looking and thinking, wait, this person's passport says female, but they look like a man. That could cause some issues. And so I think that could potentially just cause like travel issues specifically for like LGBTQIA plus folks. And just, I am also concerned that that could potentially just like out people who are passing when, like, here's the thing. The political situation in the US is a little bit of a hotbed right now. And so I think that there are some genuine safety concerns. Like, I think there are some situations where it's like, it is safer for trans people to be incognito and just pass, and for other people around them to not know that they're trans, because that's just the state of the US right now, unfortunately. And so I am concerned that like there could be some situations where outing someone who is passing could lead to putting them in danger or putting them at risk of like getting like beat up or hate crimed. And so I don't like the idea of like one of the major forms of identification in the US being a way to accidentally out people. So I don't like that with the way that the current political climate is. And so like I really think that the passport executive order is just a big deal that has some like potentially really negative consequences, and I wanted to talk about that. Because I don't like the idea of the government like treating trans people in any way that's like negative or bad. Like, I think the government should try and be nice to everyone. Like, who am I saying is the government? Like, I don't think I should be looking on them as some sort of good force, but I would like them to like treat everyone equally. And so I don't like seeing trans people being treated badly by the government. Like, I think that's a bad thing. And I am just really concerned too, because, you know, there's that old poem, that old poem about, like, first they came for the socialists, yada, 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 and then by the time they came for me, there was no one left to speak up for me. I kind of am feeling that sort of same vibe with the whole, like, trans situation, where it feels like if, like, trans people, it feels like are being scapegoated to an extent right now. And they are a relatively small percentage of the US population, and so there aren't a lot of people just, like, speaking up, saying this is a big deal, this is bad. And so, like, they're almost essentially an easy target. And so I'm concerned about, like, who's next? Is it going to be the autistic community? I'm autistic. Like, if I don't speak up for trans rights, then who's going to speak up for me when they come for autism rights? Who's going to speak up for me if they eventually, like, I don't know, come for bisexuals? Like, that's just the thing. Like, I think that any targeting of minorities by the government is a bad thing, and I think it's important to speak up against it, to speak out against it. And I know that there are a lot of people who think, oh, well, trans people are just a small percentage of the population. Why does this matter? It matters because, like, a couple of different reasons. Like, trans people are people, and so, like, it's just the right thing to do. But also because it's, like, the slippery slope. If we don't stand up against, like, a bad thing happening, then who's going to stand up against a worse thing happening down the line? What precedent does this set? So yeah, I hope that this video inspires you to treat people with compassion, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!